Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I have the 1/7 scale Maple and Cinnamon from Nekopara by Native. I recently received them in my August haul and mentioned that these two figures are one of my most anticipated figures of the year. So I'm really excited to open them up. Let's just get started. As an nsfw figure, here is Cinnamon's concealed box and here is Maple's. Right from the start, both boxes feel very premium. Although simple in design, it feels very thick and sturdy. There are also very subtle patterns of kitty paws, hearts, and flowers on the colored parts of the box, so it's very lovely. I got these two figures from Hobby Genki at about 35,000 yen, with 6,000 yen shipping. I pre-ordered these figures in May last year, and these girls were recently released in July. As usual, FedEx brought the figures to me super fast, and I received a very happy present when I came back from my break in Japan. Opening their boxes felt like opening a very branded pair of shoes, which was very satisfying, especially since I was anticipating them since last year. Inside, both girls comes with a set of instructions, which we are certainly going to need. I found that cast-off figures are typically quite difficult to assemble. For accessories, Cinnamon has a pair of hearts to cover up her chest, and here are Maple's larger ones. The next component is the chair, and Cinnamon's chair is in a lovely teal and white color. Here is Maple's, which is in a similar design, but in red and a maple wood color. Both chairs have very intricate designs with heart-shaped motifs. Next, here are both Cinnamon and Maple skirts, which will drape over the girls very aesthetically. The inside and outside of the skirts have different colors, complementing the girls very well. Next up, because I prefer to display the girls in a semi-SFW version, I'll be putting on both their undergarments. They look pretty fragile. Here are Cinnamon and Maple's tail, which looks pretty fluffy. And for both girls, here are their pair of arms. The way the hands are sculpted are very elegant and dainty, making the girls look exceptionally lovely. Best of all, they have metal pegs. Next are the collars and the chains, which would dangle around the figure. And last but not least, we have Cinnamon and Maple themselves. And here are all the components for Cinnamon as well as Maple. Assembly-wise, it doesn't look too bad, I hope. Okay, now for the assembly. As mentioned, I'll be covering up these girls, starting off with Cinnamon. The piece is very fragile looking, so be careful when sliding it through the girl's legs. At the ends, you can clip the straps in place, but this is quite difficult. But no worries, the skirts actually conceal the undergarments joints. To attach the skirts, you simply slide it through the torso like so. But for Cinnamon, it's quite a tight fit, so be careful not to scratch the paintwork. I eventually opted to put a piece of plastic here for protection. When it's done, the drapes looks very lovely. Here is Maple's skirt, and compared to Cinnamon, hers slides in very easily. However, be careful not to damage the ribbon that might get in the way. And once it's on, the dripping effect looks very beautiful. Next, for Cinnamon, through assembly, I realized that it is better to put her torso on first. This is because Cinnamon's left arm has to slide through her skirt to be attached. You can't put the torso on if the arm is attached. However, for the other arm, I realized it would be easier to attach it onto the torso first before putting on her torso. This is to reduce the risk of scratching the paint on the legs. For Maple, her left arm may also be attached to the torso first before putting it on. But for her right arm, I kinda learned that it would be better to attach it last. I'll show you why later. But moving on first, her torso is attached to the lower body in the same way as Cinnamon. Before the girls can sit on the chair, you would have to attach their tails first. But be careful, the tails may make the undergarments come loose. Anyway, there's a peg on the tail, and it goes into this hole over here. When attaching the girls to the chair, be careful of the dripping clothes. And here is Cinnamon on the chair. We are 2/3 done. For Maple, here is her tail. And you attach it the same way as Cinnamon. Also like Cinnamon, there's a hole on the chair, which the peg on the tail would go into. This will hold both girls in the correct position on the chair. But for Maple, be careful of the white ribbon, which would definitely get in the way. Now for the last segment, for the collars with the chain, this should go on first before the head. It is easier to put the collar on Cinnamon's neck first. But while handling the collar, do be careful not to snap the chain. I opted to dangle the chain around Cinnamon's leg first, so it doesn't get in the way when I attach her head. And with that, Cinnamon is almost done. We are just left with the last part of her tail, which goes over here. But this will tangle up with Maple's tail, so we'll put it on later. Let's finish putting Maple together, and just like Cinnamon, we should put the collar with the chain on first. For Maple, it was easier for me to put the collar on the neck on her body. Once the collar is on and the chain is out of the way, you have to remove the right arm first before the head can go on. This is because Maple's hair actually goes around the arm like this. And when you attach her right arm back, it will go under her hair like so. Therefore, Maple's right arm should be attached last actually. By the way, this was not in the manual. And here is Maple fully assembled. Now for the finale, we can put the girls together, crisscrossing their legs like so. After that, Cinnamon's tail can be put on, crossing over Maple's tail like so. And lastly, just dangle the chains however you like over Maple and Cinnamon. Of course, you can try to follow the promo picture, but I think it's impossible to get it the exact same way. And here is how I have the girls set up. And with that, here are the 1/7 scale figures of Maple and Cinnamon from Nekopara by Native, fully assembled. In a sitting pose at 1/7 scale, these girls are about 19 cm high. Although they are a little short, they are the right size to me, with the right amount of details. My only wish is that they would re-release Vanilla and Chocola, so I could get them at a reasonable price to complete this set. Anyway, let's take a closer look at the girls. Starting from the top, even though these girls are only at 1/7 scale, their hair and face are extremely detailed. Each lock of hair is carefully sculpted, making it appear voluminous. The fluff in their ears are also sculpted, and both girls have very detailed flowers as hair accessories. However, because of the details, care is required when handling the head sculpt. For Maple, her green eyes have so much details and the colors contrast with her hair very well. I also love how her arm is designed to weave around her hair to achieve Maple's casually leaning pose. Cinnamon's face also looks very beautiful. Her open mouth is also somewhat sculpted and not just a flat print. It's amazing how they managed to achieve this 3D effect at such a small scale. For the hair, the shading on Maple's hair, although subtle, gives more color variation, highlighting the swirls. The way individual locks of hair is curved also adds volume to her hair, making it appear very natural. For Cinnamon, her simple hairstyle is actually not that straightforward. She has her hair tied up in a ribbon and it flares open to shape her hair. This creates volume between her hair and neck, and it appears very beautifully. Also, there are variations of blue gradients in her hair, further enhancing the sculpt. Moving down the figure, the draping clothes were very beautifully sculpted and shaded. There are varying textures from matte finish to glossy finish, as well as slight pearlescent finish in some areas. The decorative flowers and ribbons also adds a lovely aesthetic to their attires. My only issue for both girls is that their chest cups require sticker or blue tack to be stuck in place. This puts the figures at risk from staining, and I really dislike this. I wish I could display them with the cups on, but that is clearly not possible. I know the parts are small, but maybe they could have tried inserting magnets to achieve this. Also, the way the dresses are very tightly attached to the body, I fear there will be future paint transfer or scratch paint if the figures are moved too often. I eventually reassembled the girls with plastic sheets in between, hidden as much as possible. Hopefully this is a clever thing to do. Can you spot the plastic sheet I added? Anyway, despite the flaws, the overall sculpt is still very elegant and beautiful, especially the way the legs and hands are posed and sculpted. Their nails are also painted, even though it's tiny. The chain that wraps around the girls adds to this elegant effect, where the fingers and toes are carefully designed to catch the chain. Even the curls on the girls' legs provides profile to allow grip for the chain when twirled around the leg like so. Moving to the base, both girls sit on very beautifully sculpted chairs, and when put together, it is a nice touch how their tails are designed to entangle with each other. Both chairs have lovely heart motifs and are nicely colored and shaded to suit each girl. My only issue is that Maple's dress has to be pressed down quite tightly onto a chair. I didn't push it all the way down as I didn't want to scratch the chair's paintwork, but this results in her dress not fully dripping onto the floor. Eventually, I settled with putting in a plastic sheet before pushing her dress down. Thereafter, her dress can completely drape onto the floor nicely. For Cinnamon, I didn't think her dress had issues when interacting with the chair. In fact, the composition of her dress ties in very well with the chair's design. I noticed that the flower on her ribbon at the back peeps through the heart motif at the center of the chair. Although this is at the back, it is a very lovely detail. And that's all for today's video. Despite the somewhat nerve-wracking assembly, these girls are very cleverly put together, earning them one of the top place in my most favorite figures from this year. I only wish I could get my hands on the other cat girls, Chocola and Vanilla, from this set. The picture will look so perfect with all of them together. Anyway, thank you for staying till the end if you're still here. If you enjoyed what you saw, do leave a like and comment, and do hit the subscribe button with notifications to stay tuned to more videos. Until then, I'll see you next time. Bye bye!